You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. Success. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
Woohoo!
Boom.
That's what I'm talking about here, baby. Towards the end of the year, getting ready to finish strong.
Yes.
I woke up this morning excited. Well, I guess to see you too, but because our guests, it's just, it's just impossible not to be in a good mood this time of year.
That's right.
We got the Hanukkah candles cooking. We got everything.
Right. Do we have any lit? I can't see any lit. There should be.
Fire hazard. You gotta wait till sundown. I mean, you gotta know how this. I work out of that co-working space, Rome, and they have it. You'll not find anything more goyish or Gentile than these people. I mean, everyone is. It's just
more than me, really.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yet, they got for all the places they got menorahs. So each morning, like this morning, I went there and they all sat around and we did the prayers and they're just such nice people, just going after it there. It's good. And I think that's what this time of year does. And for salespeople need to know this. Everybody's kind of in a good mood. Or if they're not in a good mood, they think they ought to be in a good mood. And so they'll just make it happen. Who are you waving to?
I'm Lisa Welch is in the house. A past guest and hopefully future guest of DJ Live. Hope business is going well for you, Lisa. Thanks for joining. And of course, David Webb. And you're here without your flying squirrel. I'm not sure.
Oh, I had an incident with a rodent in my house, and so that apparently flying squirrels, they're the cutest things you've ever seen. No, it's unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I mean, they got these big eyes, and it's just like you can't be angry with them. And they're not like small little things. And they really do fly. The thing took off and flew in the house. It was one of those things. I was glad my wife was in the bed and didn't have to do it. Anyhow, I took care of it. By the way, very smart. I opened the doors very slowly, sat back down, and they slowly walked over and walked right out of the house. And that's like the perfect kind of sales intro right here, because that's what happened. Sometimes you think you're a pest. And you think you don't want to go after new business because you're going to say, they're going to think badly of me because I'm like a pest. But if you bring enough value and over the top value, in this case, it was just unbearable cuteness. But when you're selling something, if you bring enough value, money is no longer an issue. And we have a guest today that more than anybody else proves this to be. I met our guest Waldo several years ago, not because I met him at someplace in person, but prior to meeting him, I've known about him because his brand and his demeanor and his activity is literally larger than life. Yeah. Nobody does it better than this guy, and he's going to answer all the questions for everybody, so everybody can do that. But he's just a super guy, and I think he lights candles also, so we have that in common. So without any further ado, please help me welcome, and I actually have a good intro, so hold on there, Waldo, because I have something for you here. Ready? Here. Hall of Fame leadership keynote speaker, executive coach, and fighter pilot, author of the national bestseller, Never Fly Solo, my man, Waldo Waldman.
Woo! Look at the guns.
Look at the pipes. I just worked out. I'm feeling svelte.
But he doesn't. mess around.
Wing Jews in the house. Wingman and Wing Jews.
Let's go.
I'm a Wing Jew. We celebrated all my house. My wife's Christian. I'm a big believer in God, but I'm a Wing Jew by trade. And great to be here, Chris and Deej. Happy New Year.
Yeah, this is great. But we're gonna put you to work because you got something that everybody wants. And that is when you go and present yourself to a prospective buyer, they don't ask, well, is this guy good enough or should we spend this money? It's the question in their head is, I hope we can afford him.
That's it.
You know, and you do that because you're not selling, they're buying. And for the people who are watching and this entire thing, you started from nothing. I mean, you started from a guy, nobody knows you. How did you get up to reach the potential? How'd you get your first few gigs muscle wise? How'd you get it?
So I want to share this from the context of salesperson, leader, entrepreneur, anybody in the business world or in life who's starting at one point or another, right? We have, I was a fighter pilot and all that great stuff, but it doesn't matter if you're in sales or achieving anything. It's always about, for every winner, there was once a beginner. There's this great coach that I work out to, and he's always spewing out great philosophies. So you have to start one way or another and take that leap of faith and that risk. And for me, it was after leaving the military, being a fighter pilot and really accomplishing amazing things with men and women who I still remember as brothers and sisters today. It's about always doing the best job you possibly can, regardless of what it is that you're doing. I don't care if you're volunteering on a local board or showing up in an association or cold calling or doing any type of menial task. It's about having a relentless pursuit for perfection and honoring those that are depending on you. And so if you live that life where no matter what it is that you're doing your best and nurturing relationships and going all out, you can't help but win. You can't help but be a success. What happens many times is that people start becoming complacent. And it happens, guess what? Last quarter of the year. It happens in December when they think it's time to drink eggnog and eat brownies all day. My business is going great. I hit the gym this morning. I'm sucking down a green smoothie. I'm like, I got to keep going and keep those habits and rituals alive in my life. And so, my brand is Fighter Pop, my brand is Wingman, but it took a long time to get there. But I always tried showing up as that wingman, as that trusted partner with others and with myself.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, your service is the sale. Yeah. The service is the sale. So you're living that life, and that's what they see, and they go after it. So you're living the brand, and you're building up. Just dynamite. We have some kind of major speakers that are on here, but everybody speaks highly. You've reached the pinnacle by living that life. I mean, we've had people like, hey, you're a military guy. You know what a VAP is, right? You probably haven't. It's a Victor Antonio pen. I mean, everybody's got I'm sure.
I just spoke to Victor the other day. He's a dear friend of mine, and I'm very upset that I don't have a Victor Antonio. He's been in this damn office on this.
You don't have a VAP? Oh my gosh!
Okay. He's a wing nut, not a wingman. We're gonna have a chat.
Whoa!
That's
Victor, I hope you're
exactly
this,
right.
Bro.
Bombs dropping on DJ Live from the Wingman.
Right,
love it.
So your first few, I got it. So you are the man. You're living the world, and I'm totally with you. Listen, first you make your habits, and your habits make you. And so your habit, what if you have the habit of excellence, which is what you've the habit of was it Kaizen, continuous
improvement?
Yeah, continuous improvement. Yeah. So once you have that habit, you can't help but constantly do your best. But you still got to get your first gig. I got a new client, and they're breaking into a new field, and I call it, listen, they're trying to set up their systems and make everything perfect. I thought, man, you got to get your first, your messy 10. Just get 10 clients somehow. The definition, just figure it out, and then you can scale from there. So when you're just getting started, Waldo, and then you're, a coach, a keynote speaker, trainer, that whole thing, they don't know you. How are you approaching more people? All right, how are you doing it now? Or if you were to do it now, how would you get started?
So you can't sell what you're not offering. People aren't going to automatically show up at your door and say, I want to buy you. The first component in building a sale is, once again, having that reputation capital, the kind of person that others can come to for help. You have to seed the waters, chum the waters, and plant those seeds and kind of marinate the stake of the relationship with everybody that you're dealing with. So for me, I showed up at my association, National Speakers Association in Georgia back in 2002. I was an empty vessel, right? MBA, sales experience, fighter pilot, but I didn't know about the speaking world. So you have to go where there's experts. If you're in sales or HR or customer service, get around other people who are experts, and then humble yourself and ask for help and nurture relationships. I think, some people, call it picking each other's brains. I'm not a brain picker. I'm a massager. I'm a nurturer. I ask with honor, meaning when we go out to lunch and I'm trying to nurture a relationship with you, I'm sending a thank you note. I'm taking you out to lunch again. I'm showing appreciation. On the ladder of life, I believe you have to have a hand up looking at folks who are helping you, who can help you, and nurture those relationships. But in the same sense, you ask with honor because you're also helping others. You've got a hand down, lifting others up on that ladder. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. I don't care if you're, quote unquote, a successful Hall of Fame speaker, who I'm still on a journey, by the way, or a CEO of Siemens or UPS, or some new entrepreneur, 22 years old, right out of Georgia Tech, trying to work a sales engineer job with a tech company. You always have something to offer. Your compassion, your skill, your network in some way. And so I never take for granted the people who I connect with. I try to help them. Last night I was at a Christmas party with a bunch of men. That's part of a men group that I'm in. Some of them are struggling. So part of my gift was my book. We had a $20 book, or a $20 gift. And the other part of the gift was a free 1-hour session with me, just to hang out and tell me about your life, your business. How can I help you? I gave a few away. And for those that have coached with me, I charge a decent amount of money for that. Now, I'm not saying that to kind of be braggadocious. It's like, I am who I am. I love helping people. And so just do and emulate those type of success principles that you want to see in others. And then eventually those opportunities will come. And then you have to prepare maniacally. There should be no cold calling. If you're a speaker and want to speak for an association, I'm bold calling. I'm doing my research. I'm learning about the prospect. I'm going on LinkedIn. I'm finding some way to connect. I'm sending them a card, a postcard, or a note. I'm finding ways to nurture and marinate the stake of that relationship, build rapport, and study that prospect in the best possible way possible, so that they're like, hey, don't really know this person too well, but he seems passionate, knows our business, offering a good sale. Maybe it's for free, maybe it's not. That's another conversation. But you've got to do what you do so well. You build that rapport, you connect with people, you show them that energy, and you show them that you're different, that you've done your due diligence, that you're not winging it. Because winging it, wingman never wing it. You can't sell by the seat of your pants. You got to be prepared.
Yeah. Now, flying by the seat of your pants, that is an aeronautics term, isn't it?
Yeah. So you could see I use a lot of that in my branding. You don't fly by the seat of your pants. You can't sell by the seat of your pants. And guess what? You can't lead by the seat of your pants. You got to be prepared. You've got to know your people. You've got to work on your ability to deal with change and stress, how to be a better communicator, work on your health and fitness and your energy. Today, green smoothie. I worked out, had a couple sales calls. I'm showing up, ready to go. I'm pushing it up. That's one of my mottos. If you don't know, it's going to full power and demonstrating as much energy and passion no matter what. Now, I know you paid a lot of money for me to be on this program with you, so I better show up and do well.
I know. It's big money. Well, but here's the thing. but you're also, with all those things, very accessible. You're accessible. Like, people can reach you. So if somebody reaches out to you, even on LinkedIn or something, do you respond?
100%. I do. And if you, and anybody watching this, they'll notice, and you better have your act together if you're sending me this cold BS LinkedIn connection request, some commoditized mass email. Because I'll say, hey, I joke around some of them. I'm like, yeah, I'll offer to listen to your product. Are you willing to get some coaching? Maybe we could do some quid pro quo. Because there's a lot of great, smart thought leaders and salespeople on LinkedIn. They're phenomenal. They could sell, they could deliver, they know their product, they're great leaders, but they don't know how to connect through this social media medium. And for the matter of fact, on the phone, no one uses the phone anymore. No one wants to pick up and show their voice. And so I believe that it's important to leverage that tool. But even with us, Dan, and your wingman, Chris, is a great guy. We're going to do some work together as well. You asked just a couple of days ago if I'd be on this show. And we have a relationship. When you call out Mayday to somebody in your life, did you plant the seeds before you asked for help? Or are you just showing up and asking for help and you didn't do the necessary work to nurture that relationship? Because you got to cash in that reputation capital and cash in on that relationship. So Elizabeth Dole, when she ran the Red Cross, once said, I didn't wait for the rivers to flood before I built relationships. And so I said yes to you, even though I have a busy day. We all do. I got to go out shopping. My wife's going crazy as we prepare for the holidays. But I'm okay to be inconvenienced when a friend asks for help, when somebody I trust and respect who doesn't take me for granted. And if you do that in your life, you can ask for a referral with confidence. You can ask somebody to help you with confidence because they see you paying it forward in your relationship and with others in your life. And I just think it's important to practice that. And I'm learning it every day. Am I perfect? By far, no. But one of the things I think I'm skilled at is knowing my weaknesses. And I think I'm relatively humble enough to ask for help and to just call out buddies like Victor Antonio, you for that matter.
Yeah.
And people have to sometimes be inconvenienced. And it sure as heck helps to invest an hour or so of time when you like the person, when you trust them, when you respect them, and you know they're going to give their wings away like you do, Dan, because I know you help a ton of people.
Dan, you thought this show was going to be about how you could get more speaking gigs, and everybody watching is getting life advice. That's amazing.
The art of practicing sales is the art of practicing personal development. It's the same thing. You've heard me say, if you want to be a better salesperson, first be a better person. And Waldo is actually one of my heroes with this, because he walks the walk and he talks the talk, but he also lets people know that he's walking the walk and talking the talk, which is in essence what marketing is. So if somebody's watching this and likes Waldo, which is impossible not to do at this point from what he said so far, who knows what's going on in the background, but right here, it's impossible not to like him. If they check out his website, that's the background work. All of a sudden, people will know you before they call you. So by the time they do call you, it's not a sale. It's, are you available?
And listen, it's not as easy as that. A lot of times they'll ask for, if I'm available. I lost some deals, and Jesse, my assistant, he's listening to this because he's sharpening his sword as well. And he sharpens mine too with we have great communication between each other. It isn't always an instant sale. Trust me, there's plenty of competition out there. I'm entering a commoditized space. There are other fighter pilots, there are other military leadership speakers, there's other motivational leadership speakers. It's a commoditized space. So I always believe you have to be a mint chocolate chip brand in a vanilla chocolate world. Mint chocolate chip in a vanilla chocolate world. And so I'm mint chocolate chip. Right? You may love mint chocolate chip and it's the best flavor out there. But guess what? For every person that loves mint chocolate chip, or every 10, there's 1 or 2 that absolutely hate it. They don't like it. They're not into it at all. And for my brand, and I'm on LinkedIn here a lot. And I'll share a little bit more about sharing your accolades, et cetera, because I think some people do it too much. It's you have to be raw, real, and relevant. You have to cut a vein. And I love hugging people and helping them, but I will kick their butt too. And I expect others to kick my butt in a loving way. If you have friends and teammates and partners who aren't willing to piss you off because they love you enough to do so, they're not a wingman. They're not a trusted partner. And so if I'm looking at people in my life, I want them to kick my butt. I want them to call my bluff. I want them to say, Waldo, you could be better than this. What are you doing? Or, hey, it looks like you're putting on a couple pounds, or whatever. And love me enough to piss me off because they care about me. That's a great leader. And for me as a coach, that's what I try to do with people. When I coach folks, it's going to be brutal in a loving way. I think so many people coddle each other these days, and I think it's just not going to work for folks. So that's very, very important when you're nurturing that relationship and garnering relationship capital. So that brand, once again, you have to be willing to be different, and some people will like you, some people may not. And if others look at your website and say, pretty good, I think we could maybe hire him or her, whatever. I don't care if you're an accountant or a military leadership speaker. You want to be ideally, yes, this is it. This is what we were looking for, which also means absolutely not. And so build a brand that's unique. Be mocha almond fudge or, non-GMO, gluten-free strawberry swirl, whatever the heck it is. Just be who you are, because people smell out inauthenticity very, very quickly these days. And social media is a way you can be authentic. I don't blab about all the gigs that I've gotten. I've done my best year ever. I really have. But once in a while, I'll share something on social media. I probably should do more, share more of my wins. But if you go on Facebook and some other things, I was on the road 7 times this week to 8 standing ovations. It's like, please don't do that. It drives me crazy. I do understand you have to demonstrate your accolades and show your wins, but I'm just not a fan of doing that all the time. But if you go on my social media on LinkedIn and on Instagram, which I think you're looking at right now, I try to mix it up a bit. So,
well, it's to let people know who you are. I think that's beautiful what you said. I actually haven't heard that before. Social media is a place where you could be authentic. That's like the opposite of what everybody uses it for. They blow themselves up into something or not. I think that's beautiful.
Because it's risky. It's risky. It's risky for me to be on here. I've got 25,000 people on LinkedIn. Hopefully some of them are watching this. But if they don't like this, guess what? They're probably not going to like my speaking or coaching. That's okay. But if I'm resonating, you want to build that loyalty. But social media, we've got all sorts of filters. People are getting sick of the filters. I want to be, once again, raw, real, and relevant. And people need to see it on stage, on a phone call, on a prospect call, in your marketing. They want to say, this person has their warts and issues just like me. And they're also kicking ass. If you're only talking about your struggles, because you want to be truly authentic, they're like, well, I want to talk with somebody who's also winning out there. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Bumming me out.
You want to
tell me what this leads to, which is a great point. So I'm curious, Waldo. So you had mentioned early on. I'm going to peel it back a little bit. Early on, National Speakers Association. You were attending these things. You were sort of fresh. You had the degrees. You had obviously service. Thank you for your service, by the way, sir. And the wingman wasn't a thing yet. Right. You hadn't developed this very much this brand, and not just the logos. That's not just what we're talking about, not just the flight suit, not just all of this thing we're talking about. And what we just peeled back in the last 5 minutes, and everyone that's watching is seeing the brand that is Waldo, which is integrity and just a whole bunch of great words. So when you were developing that, was there people that were helping you along the way? And is that why you have that mindset to reach down? Or did it just come to you in a vision? Well, it was, you were lighting the menorah or something, or like what? What?
You go where the money is.
Okay.
You go where people are buying. Dan,
I was asking Waldo the question, but anyway.
That's right. Yeah, but I got the pen.
So great question, and it goes back to the wingman philosophy of building trust in partnerships and not flying solo. The reason why I love the National Speakers Association and any group with like-minded individuals who care and who are service-focused and who are humble enough, who have a skill, by the way, not just showing up empty-handed, empty-brained with nothing to give a value, is that people are always giving me advice. One of the things that I love about myself, that I respect about myself, and I've got issues just like everyone else, is that I love advice. I want criticism. Judgment, different thing. Criticism, great. Be critical without being judgmental is what my English teacher said in 11th grade, Miss Riley. Be critical without being judgmental. I want people to criticize me with love and give me some great feedback. So Ed Rigsby out of California, he does a lot in the association world. We were sitting down at lunch because I built a relationship with him at one of the association events. And my initial name of my company was the Patriot Group. That was my S corporation. I changed the name to Wingman Enterprises in 2008. And you know, I wasn't known as the Wingman for the first 5 years. I was Waldo Waldman. You know, Waldo Speaks was my website, and we were talking about this and that. And so he's like, why don't you change your stuff to like Wingman, or go be the Wingman, go get the URL wingman.com. I got wingman.com is taken, whatever. And he's like, well, he's like, well, you're the Wingman. You talk about being a Wingman a little bit. Why don't you use your wingman.com, because you're their Wingman? And that spun into a much more developed brand based on that conversation. You see, innovation starts with conversation with friends who you've nurtured relationships with. It takes getting your ego out of the way and being open-minded and listening to the advice and perhaps the criticism of other people. So Ed Rigsby, Dan Thurman, tons of people in my mastermind groups over the years, tons of friends who've given me great advice on how to grow. And your brand, your skill set, and some of your tools are a byproduct from the advice that is given to you from the relationships that you have. So seek and you shall find. Be humble. Connect with folks. I was just in New York City with my friend Victoria LeBaum. She's another Hall of Fame speaker. She worked with Marcel Marceau. She's a performance expert, super duper. She sat in on my presentation, took a bunch of notes, gave me some great advice. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that. That's awesome advice. And so your peers in your industry, regardless of their experience level, can give you some great ideas on how to improve. So I don't fly solo, and I love getting advice. I love getting different types of coaching from people that are different than me. I don't want another Waldo giving me advice. I want different context, different perspectives to help me grow and develop. And I think you should too. Everyone should.
Yeah. That's also you said you had coaching. See, I mean, this is how people get business. They hear this stuff and they say, man, I want this guy to help me. So do you do one-on-one coaching, or is it group coaching, or what do you got going on?
I do both. I do one-on-one coaching with sales managers, entrepreneurs. I love the entrepreneur space, people trying to break out of their shell or break out of their revenue ceiling. And then I work with, executives from Siemens Corporation, a company called Matrix Home Solutions, which is a 100-person home services company out of Michigan. So I like the team group as well, because we can get the top guns on a coaching call and everybody takes off their proverbial mask and we go deep. And guess what? Many of the answers don't come from me. They come from the peers on these calls. And so I think a great facilitator of knowledge, a great speaker or a thought leader can get others talking and solicit the advice of others to bubble that up with your peers. Another thing I just started doing is being with like-minded entrepreneurs on something called Commander's Call. So not just with one company, but other companies, high-level salespeople or entrepreneurs getting together and pollinating their experience, their tools, their vendor partners, their mindsets, and sharing best practices with other top guns, and me facilitating that conversation and building some great advice on how they can grow their business and grow their lives. Oh,
that's awesome. So and who is that? the commanders group, I guess that's bigger companies. Who's paying for that? Is it the company that's paying or the individuals themselves?
It depends. I think the individual mostly, because it's going to be folks that are
Yeah.
that are in charge of their own flight plan. They're working their own cockpit, right? They're flying their jet, and so you need that coach and mentor out there to solicit help for you. And you can get it on YouTube. You can get it on a book. You could get it from watching some of these great content pieces that you put out for free, or you can go deep with a coach and take off your mask and have them kick your butt and help you out. One of the best coaching I gave to somebody who I just worked with a week and a half ago in Pittsburgh. He saw me with his original company. I don't want to share his company or his name. And then a couple of years later, he's hired me as a coach. And his biggest issue in his life was his relationship with his spouse. And unfortunately, he wound up going through a divorce, and I helped him through that and got him to get his MBA and leave his Fortune 50 company to join a smaller, nimble firm. He didn't know that he was having issues with his life. It took like 6 or 7 calls for me to say, let's get a little deeper here. Tell me what the heck is going on. And so he cut a vein, was brutally honest, and he realized there were some issues in his life. And once again, we bring our lives to the cockpit and our cockpit to our life. And you got to look at yourself holistically. And this is what the blessing of the holiday season is about, to really monitor yourself and say, where is it that I need help on? Where is it that I'm lacking? Where do I need to humble myself and kick myself in the butt and maybe invest some time and come up with a flight plan? So by the time 2023 comes along, I'll be ready to push it up and improve from the inside out.
Oh, that's just wonderful. And that happens during coaching. You go in there for sales coaching and training, and you walk out of there, talking about everything but. What's preventing you from approaching people? What's preventing you from, I'll say cold call. I used to say you should never cold call, bold call. What's preventing you from bold calling? And a lot of times it's just fear. How do you help people overcome the fear, really, of failure, which is the only thing? So,
number one, you heard the expression "fail forward," right? You got to have that fear. It means you're kind of doing something that's probably going to help you, that's going to push you to get better, and it's going to humble you. So a little bit of anxiety and fear is an important thing, because it shows the stakes are high. You're not playing weak. You're doing something that's going to push you. Flying fighters in combat, very fearful. Deciding to fly fighters, by the way, extremely fearful for me, because for some of you that don't know, I suffered from claustrophobia the first 3 years of my 11-year flying career. I'd have panic attacks flying that F-16 for the first year. It took me a lot of work to get in the zone, to overcome that fear. Didn't interfere with my flying. Didn't cause me to be unsafe. Otherwise, I'd need to turn my wings in. But I dealt with a lot of fear on all those missions. People don't know this. It's another segment of it's going to be in my next book, and I'm going to do some more talking about it. But imagine having a panic attack on a 6-hour flight, 35,000 feet over Iraq. Not much fun. But the biggest fear was before the mission, doing the briefing, walking to the jet, strapping in. So you have to be ultimately present. Number one, be prepared. You're afraid to cold call? Guess what? Over prepare. Rehearse it with your teammates. Go through the rigmarole. Don't just rehearse on your own. We call it chair flying. Rehearse those calls. Rehearse the pressure situations with your peers. Embarrass yourself in front of your peers, your coworkers, not in front of the customer, and be willing to put yourself in that environment. Many people practice, but they don't practice under pressure. So practice under pressure. Don't just listen to Tchaikovsky or practice your cold calls on a walk. Practice with your buddies and get hammered, because that's how it is in real life. And so when I practice flying combat, we were with my buddies. That's why your standards and people who you're spending time with, so important. You want to be with other top guns who are pushing you, who are humbling you, and also coaching you as well. So that's the big thing. Preparation, very, very, very important. But that's also not enough. You got to know why you're doing it. You heard the you got to find your why. I call it find the why before you fly, or the meaning to the mission. You've got to know what is the outcome that you're looking for, and why is it important for you to drive this sale. Why is it important for you to ask for the promotion, to start your company, to leave something that you're doing, to maybe start the diet for that matter? You got to know the why before you fly. That's what the blessing of being a parent is about. It's the blessing of having high standards, which can help me and also hurt me because there's a little dysfunction because I am a workaholic. Unfortunately, I'm working at it because there's time to push it up, but there's also a time to pull it back. And my wife reminds me about that. And so the why before you fly, why do you need to deal with that fear? Why do you need to jump off that 33 feet high diving board like I had to at the Air Force Academy in order to graduate and fly when I was also massively afraid of heights? Massively afraid of heights. Jumped off that diving board because on the opposite side of that fear is growth. On the opposite side of that fear is opportunity and challenge. And it's okay to be afraid and quit. Trust me, it's okay. But not if you want to be a Top Gun, if you want to grow in life. You have to realize and put yourself through that. And the last and most important thing, and I don't want to go off on a trajectory.
No, please.
Is the last and most important thing that'll help you avoid your fear is to focus on who needs you. Who needs you to win? Who needs you to take that risk, to jump off the diving board, to ask for the sale, to lose the weight? And it'll distract yourself from yourself. And so in combat, or in training for that matter, when there was bad weather and I was having these micro panic attacks, because they went from a minute or two to 5 or 10 seconds, and I breathed through them. There's a whole story on how I dealt with that. I would focus on my wingman. So I would fly with these young men and women in combat in Iraq, scared to death, just like them, leading combat missions. But I had these other young folks who were depending on me. And so I was checking their six, monitoring them, calling, helping them out. So this sense of responsibility that I had of helping them, that I was needed and that I had to do my job, distracted me from the BS that was called claustrophobia, the fictitious fear that really wasn't present. I was just in a tiny cockpit, but was there real fear? The enemy was real. The fact that I could lose an engine was real, but was the claustrophobia real? Was there anything truly dangerous? No, it's a mental thing. So when you distract yourself from yourself, when you are selfless and avoid the selfishness and turn the mirror outwards and help others and get your radar on other people, that is the beauty of success. And that's how you grow. And that'll force you to strap it to your cockpit if you're having a panic attack. That'll get you out of bed, right? And help you to take risks. Because here's a good quote for you that I made up a couple of years ago. It's not what keeps us up at night that counts. It's what gets us out of bed. What keeps us up at night is fear-based. And fear-based isn't love-based. Fear-based is the enemy. It's the threat. It's not fun. It's not really serving anyone. Love-based is what gets you out of bed. Who are you helping? What's your goal? What's your dream? What excites you? That's what drives you out of bed and gets you on calls like this and gets you in the gym, lifting the weights or drinking the green smoothies or sharpening your sales skills. Find out what you love. And the tragedy of life is often that we don't have enough things that we love because we're distracted from the BS on social media, the politics and the negativity that's so prevalent out there. That's why I love what you do, Dan. Because you're a giver, you're a lover, you're high energy. I rarely ever hear you talking negative. You're a harbinger of hope, a comrade of courage.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I mean that sincerely, comrade of courage. Hoorah! Well, listen, getting back to you because I'm just blown away with this. This is officially become the best podcast we have ever had. I'm blown away. So what I'm hearing you saying it in better ways than I can say it is. You're just service oriented. You just give. And when you're giving, you not only you feel better, but you can't have that anxiety because you're too focused on giving and the other people and the anxiety, because that anxiety that you spoke of in the cockpit for claustrophobia, that feeling, it's exactly the same for some people to pick up the phone. It's exactly the same. And for them, it's the realest thing. They can't get out of bed. They'll quit their jobs. They'll ruin their lives for that fake anxiety. think it's so powerful that what you just said about that claustrophobia. And so, and you're really helping them. So when you're coaching people, and the people that have come to you or come to the point where they realize they need a coach and they're willing to come out of pocket to do so, are they generally doing it? Do you find, are people doing it because they want to better themselves and get to that next level, or they're just in pain and can't get out the bed?
It's a job of a coach to kind of to reveal that challenge, to unlayer that. And some people don't know what they don't know, right? And so they have the blind spots. And I think the job of a good coach is not to assume, but to really ask. So if I'm onboarding somebody and they're looking for coaching, I got to say, well, why do you want to do it? And I'll ask them about their life, their business, and their challenges. I'll say, tell me about your day. Here's a great question to ask. Tell me about your day. What do you do when you get out of bed? What are the first things that you do? Literally step me through step by step by step. What are you reading? What are you drinking? What are you reading? What are you doing? And so if you look at your success metric, tell me what you're doing, show me what you're doing, and I'll probably tell you your results. You know what I mean? So it's important for folks to have a self-assessment, but I think part of a good coach is to really realize that. Let me tell you, I've got coaches, they're called my friends. And I have another saying, make your friends your mentors and your mentors your friends. Make your friends your mentors or your wingmen, and your wingmen or mentors your friends. And so a lot of us are spending time with people who aren't emulating excellence in their life, in their relationships with their spouse or children, or in the gym or their health and fitness. And so it's very, very important for us to assess the team. My dad always said, be careful who you spend time with on the weekends. Jim Rohn, the philosopher, said, don't spend major time with minor people. And so I'm constantly getting an assessment of friends in my life and people who I'm spending time with. And so my point is, I have blind spots. I know, or I think I know what they are, but sometimes when I spend time with somebody, even on these calls, or somebody like you, Dan and Chris, I'm like, okay, I didn't realize that. I need to start working on A, B, and C, either in my business, my marketing, my videos, or maybe in my health and fitness, right? My buddy Chip Eichelberger, he's a great speaker. He's on social media. Check out his LinkedIn. He's always talking about the green smoothies, a lot of your habits and patterns. And so when I talk to him, my business is a bit more successful than his, but I don't know if my health and fitness is as successful as his. I think he's going to be 60 or 61 years old. He's got less body fat than me, crushing it, right? I'm like, okay, interesting. I need to be around Chip a lot more. So we have our conversations, and sometimes I got to ask my buddies to kick my butt, to give me feedback. Sometimes, I've got a friend who I really, really love, but he's not a big fan of feedback. I have to be very careful. I got to put cherry on the cake of feedback with this guy. But you can't assume that what works for you works for other people. So,
well, so there's your man, Chip. See, this is quality. This is where Chris Stone, you just got to mention something and boom, he'll put it right up there. I mean, look how good that's as good as you get right there. What you're saying is, in essence, hang out with people that are better than you. Be humble enough to know.
But better in different ways, like better or success, or, because some people only look at you with $1 on your forehead. I want to call out a guy, Shane Lawrenson, on here. He's a client of mine. He saw me with another company years ago, and we did a virtual program. We stay in touch. This guy is an awesome human being. He's a client of mine, but he's also a friend. Like, when we connect, it's not like I'm looking for the next deal. I genuinely care about this person. He's a good man, great father, having some challenges in life, like all of us. And so I thank you, because he wrote a little note on there, because he checks in, king of follow-up. And you are too, Shane. Yeah. But I like following up with my buddies and friends, not just with my damn clients.
Right.
I want to have friends. And this is where the beauty of the world shows up. And that's why you get business. So you have to put that energy out there. I truly believe in manifesting it. Call it spiritual, call it energy. But when you're around positive people and you're making a difference and also asking for help and are honest with yourself, the universe shows up with different people, with different opportunities, with love. And sometimes it shows up with a swift kick in your ass and says, man, wow, you know, like, guess I didn't see that coming. And sometimes it's a wake-up call. Like I banged my head. I was at a play in New York City with my friend Victoria, and I whacked my head. And I was thinking about it in the shower, literally today, literally before getting on this show. I'm like, maybe that whack in the head was a wake-up call for me to say, reprioritize. You're too focused on A, B, and C, you know? And I'm like, and I thought about it in the shower. Maybe at that shower and that time, an hour or so ago was when that message from the universe showed up to me. And so you just never know when the painful moment, the whack in the head, the humbling conversation, the lost sale, that moment where you're just pissed off, maybe that's something giving you some type of communication about shifting gears and priorities and perspectives. And that's, once again, the beauty of this time of year to say, like you said, Dan, you can't help but be happy this time of year because it's a blessing to be able to celebrate the joys of the holidays.
Yeah, you know, I love it. It really is. And I so totally agree with you with building friends. Like half the people that are responding, Patrick Tinney's been on the, Jeff Clays, David Webb. These are, you know, LinkedIn friends. But when I talk about them, and I do talk about them, they're just friends. I mean, I lose that qualifier. By the way, that is the brownest green smoothie I've ever seen. hey, nothing green. Way nothing green in that thing.
My smoothies, my wife says my smoothies look like baby poop. So
I think I'm up there with you.
Common, yeah.
I'm not really feeling that motivated to finish that after that comment.
They taste so good. But you know, you're right. And talk about reflection. You talk about my day. My day is like very regimented. And you say, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? But I have a couple of minutes in the morning. People would call it meditation time, but I don't do that. But basically, you just get into the zone at kind of one with the universe. And when you're going good, like when you got it figured out, a bang in the head or something like that. Sometimes I'm driving down the street and I make a wrong turn. And instead of getting angry about it, I'm thinking, I'm probably supposed to make this turn, you know? And then I start looking out for the opportunities of that turn. And more often than not, something good happened because I made that wrong turn. And that's how you know you're in row. And I think that's what happened when I called you last week and I said, somebody cancel. I need you on the show. That person canceling made this year's best podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
Okay.
And
I appreciate it.
Because I'm feeling fired up as well, man. I'm like, I'm kind of intense. I'm feeling insecure because the hair is normally military short, but you guys dig in the wig. It's kind of getting longer there. My wife's digging. I'm almost looking like Chris. Yeah.
Also looking like
takes a little work. Takes a little.
By the way, how's the family? You spoke of your wife doing well with the Christmas and stuff. Mine's the same way, doing all that. But how's your son? How old is he now?
My son Ace is going to be 12 in January. Wow. Shed some tears of joy when Messi kicked butt in Argentina and when the Argentina won that World Cup. We watched it as a family. It was great. You kind of gravitate to what your kids do. If you have kids, you do that. And he's a soccer fiend. I was always a good soccer player. I wasn't into it as much as baseball, but now I am such a fan. I'm trying to get season tickets to Atlanta United if it works out and Santa's nice to me. We watched this World Cup game as a family. It was amazing. And if you've watched it, it was such an embodiment of competition, of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. As they said in the
Wide World of Sports in 1978.
Right? Exactly. And so, but watching the World Cup, loving it with my family, I'm watching my son like he was crying. He was very emotional when we were winning, as well as when we were losing. He wanted Messi to get that legendary, that next level and to win the World Cup. And we were screaming and yelling. It was so great. I put some photos on Facebook. I probably should put a couple on LinkedIn. But the World Cup was an example of you never know when the underdog is going to win. it was an example of teamwork, because a lot of these players play on their club teams, but on the national teams, they're not really playing together that much. Right. And so the ones with the best chemistry, not necessarily the best skills, are the ones to win. That's why you had Morocco kicking butt and all these other unsung heroes. Why Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. They had the chemistry and the passion. And I think by the time the World Cup, towards the end, I think teams were coming together, and it was just a beautiful example of camaraderie, of teamwork. There's my son with my Great Dane Willie, and Messi hugging there. He's like, he was crying right there, and he's going to kill me for even showing that. But it was beautiful. I took those photos because look at that. Look at Messi with his kids. Talk about the meaning to the mission. The grind, his sweat and challenge, all those players. And I worked out with my son a couple of weeks ago, and I try to work out with him every week. But I remember this workout. We were suffering. He was crying, slamming his fist on the floor. I'm like, how's that feel? How does that feel? I said, that's what you don't see with Messi and all these great players. The suffering. And now Ace is a great soccer player, but he has to go through that suffering a little bit more, that pain, the process. And my buddy who just made a comment before, Sterling Hawkins, check out him too. Sterling Hawkins, amazing guy, talks about hunting discomfort and how when you hunt discomfort, you gravitate yourself to great things and you suffer through the growth. And so that's the key. Hunt that discomfort, put yourself through that pain. I was saying pain leads to peace. And so painful conversations, painful situations in the gym where you just can't do another rep. Painful, humbling situations where you picked up the phone and got the rejection, but you're used to that pain now, will eventually lead to peace, the endorphins, the knowledge that you overcame the biggest impediment to success in life and the greatest attribute to it, which is yourself. Go through the pain, suffer with honor. Don't become a complacent couch potato. And that's what great leaders and people do. And that's, ultimately what I try to do in my life. That's what Push It Up is about, and what great relationships help you to do, which is why I'm just honored to fly with you guys today.
Amazing. Yeah. Waldo, have you seen the video of Messi embracing his mother on the field?
Oh yeah. Just amazing. And his mother was the one that helped him. For those that don't know, his mother was there, helping him out when he was a kid. He had to go on growth hormones and all that. There's a really cool special on Netflix. Look behind the veneer of these great players. They don't always show the story on social media. The speakers, the top salespeople, get to know them. Look beyond the veneer. By the way, look how they act and treat people when they're not on stage or on a call or delivering a presentation or in their job. See how they treat the barista at Starbucks or the local checkout person in Publix. And if they're a wingnut or a butthead, then they're not authentic to me. Right? Watch it, assess them in that way, especially your friends.
Yeah. I mean, usually I have something miraculous to say at the end that ties it all together, but you already got it. Patrick Tinney. No is just a word, not a condition. Yeah, this is great. So absolutely. So, and this is, I think what people need to hear out there today, this isn't a once in a while thing. This isn't a just kind of a New Year's resolution type of thing. This is life, baby. This is every day. Wake up and try to be your best at what you do. And if what you do is meet other people, which is what salespeople do, baby, be really good at it. My dad's birthday is the 23rd. Of course, he's gone now. But one of his sayings, Papa, he would say, Danny, in this country, he had a little French Jewish accent, in this country, half effort doesn't give half results. Half effort gives no results. Be all in. Be all in with your friends, your family, and your customers and your teammates and your wingmen. And you got it going on.
Well said, Dan.
Waldo, I can't thank you enough. Chris Stone, once again, world's best producer. The guy knocks it out every single time. And to all your marketing skills, Waldo, and all the people that were watching here, I hope they were pleased. I hope they're not angry with me for taking too much time and not letting you pontificate, which is why they came. I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your lives. Eat well, live long and prosper. And what's your tagline? Oh, never fly solo, baby. Go get 'em.